From the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda, I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Martin Asedudate. Here are the headlines for today.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Coming up tonight, U.S. government commits $100 million to the fight against terrorism and extremism in the West African sub-region.
Opposition National Democratic Congress flag bearer hopeful and former President John Mahama goes through party vetting.
And later in business, the Bank of Ghana requests banks impacted by the domestic debt exchange to submit recapitalization plan even as it stabilizes funds. The stability fund is yet to be operationalized.
On the international front, 6 dead, including 3 children in Tennessee school shooting. We have details of these stories and more coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
We're starting from the visit of the U.S. Vice President to Ghana. She has been meeting with President Akufo-Addo today. Many conversations have gone on. Let's bring you details of that as well. The Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris, has reiterated the U.S.'s opposition to attempts by Ghana to pass anti-LGBTQ laws. Kamala Harris was speaking as part of her 3-day working visit to Ghana in Accra.
It was inevitable that the subject of LGBTQ and Ghana's attempt to clamp down on it, even in the face of strong Western opposition, was going to come in discussions between Ghana's President Akufo-Addo and visiting U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. And when it did, there was no shift in what has been the position of the United States all these years.
A great deal of work in my career has been to address human rights issues, equality issues across the board, including as it relates to the LGBT community. And I feel very strongly about the importance of supporting the freedom and supporting and fighting for equality among all people, and that all people be treated equally. I will also say that this is an issue that we consider, and I consider, to be a human rights issue, and that will not change.
Only last week, the U.S. threatened economic sanctions against Uganda for passing what it considers draconian anti-LGBTQ laws. In Ghana, there is a draft bill in Parliament seeking to criminalize severe aspects of LGBTQ with widespread support from religious bodies, but also significant opposition from civil society. President Akufo-Addo is adamant Ghana has not passed any laws yet.
The bill is going through the Parliament. It's going through the Parliament. The Attorney General has found it necessary to speak to the committee about it regarding the constitutionality or otherwise of several of its provisions, and the Parliament is dealing with it. At the end of the process, I will come in. But in the meantime, the Parliament is dealing with it. And I have no doubt that the Parliament of Ghana will show, as it's done in the past, first of all, its sensitivity to human rights issues, as well as to the feelings of our population, and will come out with a responsible response.
Proponents of the bill have been adamant that no amount of external pressure will affect their effort to get the bill passed.
If the Attorney General has any reservations, he should stop filibustering the process. He should allow the committee proceed. He should come on the floor. As Attorney General, he will be giving audience on the floor and come and debate us on the floor and stop wasting our time in the committee. You know, when he goes to Geneva to go and make promises to the West that the bill will not do things, he's not a member of Parliament. He has no power to pass law. If he wants to fight our bill, he should bring his own bill to Parliament to come and counter our own, and we'll meet him on the floor.
After multiple consultations with the Attorney General, proponents of the bill are confident they will push it through Parliament. But as the interaction with the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris today showed, this will not be without opposition from some of Ghana's biggest traditional partners. Daniel Opoku, TV3 News, Accra.
And it looks as though this subject keeps coming back. And let's go to the phone lines now to engage the thoughts of Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, Sam George, who is one of the sponsors of the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. Good evening, Honorable, and thank you for your time.
Good evening. How are you? And good evening to your listeners and viewers.
Right. I'm sure you followed the conversation, especially following Kamala Harris's visit to Ghana. In that chat with President Akufo-Addo, it came up again where she's saying that this is purely a human rights issue, and the president also assured that Ghana is yet or still debating it in Parliament. What are your initial reactions to these comments from both the U.S. Vice President and President Akufo-Addo?
Well, two things. I thought that President Akufo-Addo would have used this opportunity to send a clear message to the world and to the country that his fidelities to the Ghanaian people and to the Constitution of Ghana, the 1992 Constitution that he swore an oath to uphold, and would have sent a clear message that Ghana is not going to entertain any expressions of homosexuality. And then secondly, I expected that he would have shown, it was known that this would have been a topic, and I expected that he would have shown that he was on top of his brief. On the 2 points, President Akufo-Addo goofed and failed. First and foremost, on the point of knowing his brief, the president said that the bill has been substantially changed and that it's a private member's bill. And, well, the president doesn't know what he's talking about. The bill has not been substantially changed. The bill remains as tough and as rigid as it was. The focus of the bill has not changed. The objective of the bill has not changed. His Attorney General has given the bill a clean bill of health. At the last meeting that we had with the Attorney General is on record to have stated that he's happy with the position of the bill and that the bill was going to deal with discrimination in our current legal jurisprudence and expand the frontiers of our legal jurisprudence. So clearly the President needs to check his brief on the bill. When the bill is laid before the House, you realize that the focus of the bill, which has to do with voiding marriages, preventing them from adopting children or fostering children, the clamp down on platforms and media houses that are going to do promotion and advocacy or push those materials still remains in force. All expressions of it, be it lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, are all here, are all in there. So when he says the bill has been watered down, he doesn't know what he's talking about. 1. 2, when the president says that failed to tell her point blank that Ghana is not going to listen to what she says. I mean, Mrs. Kamala Harris should be the last person to come and talk about human rights in Ghana. Barely 2 hours ago, in the country where she's vice president of the United States, a Ghanaian woman, a lady in her 20s, walked into a school with pits, shot and killed 3 school children and 3 adults. Those are the human rights of her country's citizens that Kamala Harris should be worried about. She's Vice President of America, and on a daily basis, more people die from gun violence in the U.S. than malaria kills in Africa or in Ghana. That should be of concern to her. Kamala Harris is a woman of color. If she wasn't a senator first or wasn't the Vice President of America, she most likely could have possibly been a victim, like other black Americans like George Floyd, of white police brutality because she's a woman of color. Those are the human rights issues Kamala Harris should be worried about, because those are what the people who voted for her in America are expecting for her to focus on. Right. Deal with the senseless gun killing in the U.S. of school children. Children's lives matters, black lives matters. Those are the things Kamala Harris should be thinking about. And so Ghana's president should not be finding it difficult to tell her in her face, like other African presidents have, to even presidents of America, that look, my fidelity is to the Constitution of my country and not what you think. So if Kamala Harris thinks that LGBTQ issues are issues of human rights, that's her opinion. Her opinion is not worth any paper written on the paper on which is written in Ghana. Right. What matters in Ghana is the 1992 Constitution. And the president must remember, that is what he swore an oath to, not the opinion of the U.S. Vice President.
And still on this subject, we know that, for instance, just last week when Uganda passed the law, the U.S. has reacted swiftly, saying that they are going to be sanctioning or, imposing some kind of economic sanctions on Uganda. On the back of this, looking at Ghana's current economic situation, that we are going back to the IMF, for instance, asking the U.S. to help us get our economy back on track, etc. When we do finally pass this law, or with the current position that we hold, what does that mean, or how could that play out if we do finally even pass this law? Could we be handicapped in a way in dealing with the U.S.?
Again, two things. The U.S. they're cowards. The United States is a coward country. Why didn't they issue threats to Qatar? Why did they not stop their U.S. male team from playing in Qatar? Why did they not issue sanctions against Qatar? Are they not trading with Saudi Arabia? Is Saudi Arabia not one of their biggest traders? Is the U.S. not selling arms? The U.S. sells over almost $1 trillion of military hardware to Qatar and Bahrain. Is it not hypocrisy? In those countries, homosexuality is punished by death. So why are they coming to flex their muscles on African countries that are saddled with poor leadership that has made us a poor countries? They're cowards. Cowards are the ones who look for weaklings to fight on them. If America wants to flex its muzzle, it will flex its muzzle on Turkey. It will flex its muzzle on Russia, which has also banned homosexuality. It should flex its muzzle on Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Bahrain, who punish homosexuality by death. And then we will take America serious. But I mean, if you want to flex your muscle on weaklings, you're a coward. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, when it comes to our debt situation, why are we begging the IMF for $3 billion over 3 years? It's simply because we have a presidency and a government that has been profligate and has been reckless with its spending. The amount of debt and graft in our government, if we even dealt with 50% of it, we would not need to be going to the IMF. So President Akufo-Addo has laid his bed, he will lie in it. It is his own responsibility to clean the mess in his government and take us out of an IMF program. It is not for us to bend over our cultures and tradition because he has been reckless with his spending and live like an Arabian night when he doesn't have the resources for it. So that is neither here nor there. We won't trade our culture and tradition because we have a reckless president. No.
Right, and in conclusion, what's the latest with the bill? We know that the public hearings have gone on. Is it still at the committee stage? And what's the latest regarding it?
Last week, I was shared a draft copy of the committee's report was shared with me and my colleagues from the committee chair. We've okayed it. I believe that before Parliament rises this week on Friday, before Friday, the report of the committee will be laid in the House. And once the report of the committee is laid, it will then open room for the second reading, which is the debate stage. I don't foresee that happening between now and Friday. What will happen between now and Friday, hopefully, is to lay the report. And then when Parliament comes for its next meeting, sometime I think end of June or July, we will then begin the debates which is basically the main part that would lead to the votes on the bill.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time, Sam George.
Pleasure, mine.
He's a member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram constituency.
Well, the press conference touched on a lot more than LGBTQI rights. As has been the case with the whole trip by the U.S. Vice President to Africa, the shadow of China hangs over it throughout. Noble Crosby Annan has more.
As U.S. presidential visits go, there have been many memorable ones in Ghana, often filling out large public squares with many happy faces and grand declarations.
The first century will be shaped by what happens not just in Rome or Moscow or Washington, but by what happens in Accra as well. We want to put more resources in the hands of those who need it.
These visits highlight for many experts an important fact that Ghana is a key ally to the United States of America, at least on the African continent. So, it is of little surprise that after years of a lull in U.S.-Africa relations during the Trump administration, and with Russia and particularly China strengthening their footprint on the continent, the U.S. has chosen Ghana to begin its latest charm offensive, led by Vice President Kamala Harris.
Every country, when they work or invest outside their borders, it should be for their interest. And the United States knows that for countries on the African continent that are our allies, they can't be the allies we need them to be if they are in asymmetrical relationships with China or Russia.
China's name keeps coming up in the conversations about Harris's visit to Ghana, and it is easy to see why. The Asian giants have forged significant ties on the continent, offering long loans assistance without some of what experts consider the stringent terms that comes with American assistance. Harris says her visit is more about U.S. relations with Ghana and less about the strides China is making on the continent.
But the conversation was not about China as much as it is about the enduring and important direct relationship that the United States has with Ghana and with African nations. The relationship between the United States and this continent and African leaders is an important one.
Ghana's President Akufo-Addo is keen to downplay the China factor in the conversation.
There may be an obsession in America about the Chinese activities on the continent, but there's no such obsession here. About China is one of the many countries with whom Ghana is engaged in the world. Your country is one of them. Virtually all the countries of the world are friends of Ghana, and we have relations in varying degrees of intensity with all of them. Our relationship with America is a relationship that has been forged over several decades.
So what exactly is in this for Ghana?
This trip and this relationship, yes, we are concerned with security. We are concerned with what is happening on the globe as a whole. We are clear-eyed about that. But this trip is motivated by the importance of the direct relationship between the United States and Ghana, and as I travel the continent, those countries as well.
The Vice President and I discussed at length how to boost further our political and economic relations, cultural and people-to-people exchanges, as well as our cooperation at the multilateral level. Our deliberations also centered on driving investment opportunities, domestic and foreign, into our two countries and the need for enhanced cooperation and partnership in our development efforts.
Not everyone is so hopeful, though. Some are unconvinced the visit by Harris will yield immediate dividends. Noble Crosby-Annan, TV3 News, Accra.
While the U.S. is pledging its commitment to Ghana, Chinese authorities have expressed their commitment to support Ghana to resolve the current short-term liquidity challenges. China will also continue to support Ghana's medium and long-term developmental aspirations. Chinese Minister of Finance Lu Kun gave this assurance when the Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta led a high-level delegation from the ministry to China to engage in bilateral talks with his Chinese counterparts and other Chinese officials. Discussions bordered on recent macroeconomic developments in Ghana and the subsequent application for support from the IMF, as well as the G20 Common Framework. And the Chinese Minister of Finance has been speaking on this. And according to him, we know that these are short-term challenges which we as responsible creditors remain committed to resolving, and that the long-standing and prosperous relationship between Ghana and China imposes on us a responsibility to help. That's according to Lu Kun, Chinese Minister of Finance.
All right, so we are staying on the issue of the visit of the U.S. Vice President. Now, she came with her husband, the second gentleman of the U.S. So the U.S. government, through its second gentleman, Douglas Emhoff, has promised to continually resource Ghana's Legal Aid Commission. The assurance, born out of Emhoff's passion for the legal system, is to ensure persons charged with criminal offences and cannot afford legal counsel are provided with aid. Judith Awachitando reports.
It's been over 20 years since the establishment of legal aid services in Ghana, yet many still go through trials without legal representation. Basically, the Ghana Legal Aid Commission is meant to ensure equal access to justice and treatment before the law by acting as a public defender for persons who cannot afford it. Yet there seems to be a lack of adequate resource.
The major challenge here is that we have only 37 lawyers out of the 54 lawyers employed by the Legal Aid Commission who are almost completely focused on criminal cases. So if you look at the population of Ghana, which is about 32 million people, and you look at this small percentage of lawyers representing people who are at conflict with the law and who would need the expertise, then you see that the
frameworks that promote access to justice may be adequate. Its practicality seems to be a challenge.
There is a little problem as far as jurisdictions and the exercise is concerned. When it comes to assignment of briefs, by law, it's the Superior Court which can assign the briefs without recourse to the Chief Justice. But when it comes to the lower bench, they will have to write to the Chief Justice to be able to assign the cases. But I think in general, the Superior Courts are not doing too badly.
On his visit to Ghana, however, the second gentleman of the United States of America, a lawyer himself, has assured the support of the U.S. in ensuring our Legal Aid Commission is well-resourced.
We'll continue to work with Ghana's criminal justice system to develop programming that will strengthen your law enforcement, the judiciary, and prisons. And through our partnership, we will work to ensure that Ghana's Legal Aid Commission has the resources that it needs to help those who need it and those who need support.
A donation of 54 laptops was made to the Ghana Legal Aid Commission in that regard. Judith Chitando, TV3 News, Accra.
And away from U.S.-Ghana relations, Ghana's financial stability and reposing confidence in the economy remains my primary focus in seeking to lead the NDC to another term in government. These are the words of the former president and NDC's presidential hopeful, John Mahama, as he appeared before the party's vetting committee. John Mahama says he is optimistic his performance before the Doe Ajaho-led committee will give him the urge of aspirants to lead the party to secure victory in the 2024 general elections. A report by Komla Kluche.
After a failed attempt in 2020, John Mahama is seeking a comeback to lead the party in the 2024 general elections. At the party's headquarters for the vetting, he sought God's guidance. Shortly thereafter, he went into the vetting room to meet the Doe Ajaho committee. After 30 minutes, John Mahama walked out feeling confident of emerging as the leader. NDC members of parliament came out in their numbers to offer their support.
We would come together as one after I have emerged as the presidential candidate, that we will rally together in order to ensure that NDC wins a victory in the 2024 elections.
For the former president, government has demonstrated that it is incapable of governing the country. He criticized the MPP-led administration for failing to fight corruption.
We're going to bring discipline back into our finances. That is the first order of work we have. The second order of work is to repair our governance systems, to guarantee that the media can work freely without harassment from any quarters, to guarantee that corruption will be fought without the president clearing anybody, to guarantee that the anti-corruption institutions will have a free mandate to carry out their duty against anybody, whoever you are, to make sure that CSOs have space to be able to express themselves without fear or favor, to ensure that we review our constitution to make it a more dynamic document to take us into the future. These are some of the issues that will be on our agenda for a new NDC government.
3 more aspirants are expected to appear before the vetting committee, after which balloting will be conducted before the party's presidential primaries. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
Still in the NDC, the party says that it is bent on fishing out its MPs who broke party ranks to vote for the president's ministerial nominees. Komla Kluche has been speaking to some party functionaries.
It was a major fight from the NDC party, ostensibly to get the president reduce his numbers.
I'll call on any measure that will let people who deviated from what the party asked us to do. Indeed, it is we ourselves who agreed to do it before we sent it to the party, and the party endorsed it. It is not a party. The party endorsed it for us. Ghanaians generally endorsed what we're doing. And so I don't know where the deviation came from. I don't know where the alternative even came from. We don't have to, in fact, we cannot forgive ourselves.
It is actually a national position. Unfortunately, we messed up. Unfortunately, we disappointed Ghanaians. As a collective caucus, I will stand on behalf of the caucus and sincerely apologize to the people of Ghana. I think that maybe it is time for us to consider the need to do open voting and assign reasons to why we are voting openly for a particular position. Otherwise, we cannot be using the media space to break the law as a way of finding people who are indisciplined in the party.
Do you think that how your colleague MPs behaved on the Friday was of a parochial interest?
I'm a mother, and my job and my duty is to bring all of them together and put all of them together. So I cannot comment on that issues, but the assurance I'm giving you is we will come together as one party, united, and we'll work together for the party.
Do you think that there should be repercussions for you, the minority MP?
I do believe that the way forward is for leadership to identify at least a few of those who went against the collective interest of the party.
Do you identify it when it was a secret vote?
It's possible. It's possible because some people had even made open remarks. Some people had even made open remarks. They should invite them. And I also do know that some people were invited by leadership to caution them.
In more news tonight, the president of the Institute of Public Relations, Mawko Afadzinu, is urging Parliament to expedite the passage of the IPR bill. The bill, when passed into law, would enable the institute to effectively regulate the work and activities of practitioners to promote professionalism and credibility.
The president of the Institute of Public Relations, Mawko Afadzinu, was addressing the National Public Relations and Communications Summit geared towards strengthening advocacy towards the passage of the PR bill and also reflect on activities in the previous years and adopt new practices.
This particular gathering is so auspicious. It marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Institute of Public Relations in Ghana. And we are looking at using this as the platform to really advocate and push for the IPR bill, which will regulate the practice of public relations in Ghana. Now, that is one leg. The other leg is also to incentivize and encourage every IPR member to upskill themselves. And we said that we're going to make it such a way that the continuous professional development programs become an integral part of our annual accreditation process.
The CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunication, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, underscored the need for communication professionals to be credible and trustworthy. He explained that communication is critical in getting public support to accept policies.
The fact that we don't have people who are not able to communicate, who are not credible, but I think the challenge we've had is that the leadership of the day is not taking communication very seriously. So you have people who have the capacity to help us do a lot more when it comes to communication, but they seem to be pushed to the back, and the people who are taking the decisions have not been credible.
The conference on the theme Staying Credible Through the Rough Patches brought together communication professionals and experts from both public and private sectors.
Malcolm Care Foundation has supported the Department of Medical Services of the Ghana Armed Forces with household electronic products. The items are to serve as prizes to award the third batch of exceptional students who are graduating from the Military Emergency Medical Technicians course.
The items include a flat-screen television set, a standing fan, rice cookers and blenders. The Director of Communication of the Melcom Group of Companies, Godwin Avenogbo, noted that the initiative is part of Melcom Care Corporate Social Responsibility.
We have developed a giving back initiative under our CSR objectives, which is recognizing and satisfying need. The last was for recognition. This time is satisfying need. Need in the sense that these young recruits who have come out of the training program by the Ghana Armed Forces need to be motivated. So we're giving them the gifts which they will donate on graduation day, which is 2 days from now. That's the motivation. It's an initiative to help plow back the money we earn for the benefit of those who give us the money.
The nursing officer in charge of public health at the 37 Military Hospital, Colonel Mercy Quay, lauded Melcom Foundation for the gesture.
We know this presentation will go a long way to spearhead the interests of both the trainees and those being trained.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. There is more right after this. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo Superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
The sweet scent of rose in the morning brings me so much joy. Inspired by damask rose and infused with 100% natural rose oil. Introducing new Clay Soft Perfume Beads Washing Powder. It's like bringing a garden with you everywhere with this wonderful perfume. Take a garden with you everywhere you go with Clay Soft Perfume Beads Washing Powder.
Every child is so unique. You like no other. Outstanding in every way. It's me like no other. So anytime you walk and play, you like no other. You are special like Indomie. It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. It's you like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie beef flavor. Buy now.
This effort is FDA approved.
Mothers of Africa.
Mama, will I ever be a soccer champion for Ghana?
Well, you've got to be like a geisha ball. Stay strong and go so far. Never give up till you reach your goal.
Okay, Mama, I'll be strong and go so far, lasting long like this geisha ball.
Be strong and last long
like geisha.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN.
Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. Let's do business now. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has increased the policy rate by 150 basis points to 29.5%. Government of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the move is to curb surging inflation and re-anchor inflation expectations towards the medium-term target.
The latest hike is the 8th since November 2021, totaling 15 percentage points. The increase comes as Ghana struggles with one of its worst economic crises and is pushing to secure a bailout from the International Monetary Fund. Many analysts had expected the MPC to reduce the policy rate as inflation slows.
For Bank of Ghana to suddenly hike the price from 28 to 29.5, for me, is a bit counterproductive, because what business are going through today is not an issue of whether they are pricing high, but it's an issue of getting enough funds to expand for the economy to reboost.
But the bank increased the rate, arguing that the move is to mop up excess liquidity on the market.
Headline inflation has declined marginally for 2 consecutive months. To place the economy firmly on the path of stability and reinforce the pace of disinflation, it is important that the monetary policy stance be tuned further to re-anchor inflation expectations towards the medium-term target. Given these considerations, the MPC decided to increase the monetary policy rate by 150 basis points to 29.5%.
The excess liquidity stems from the lack of investment options, which has forced investors to resort to treasury bills for some returns. As part of its additional measures, the committee says it will step up liquidity management operations to address the issue of excess liquidity on the market.
The committee also decided to reset the cash reserve ratio on domestic currency deposits for banks from 12% to 14% effective 13th April 2023. The committee will continue to monitor developments in the banking sector and deploy other macro-prudential tools to ensure financial stability.
The policy rate is usually indicative of the rate at which commercial banks borrow from the central bank and will often determine the rate at which you borrow from your commercial bank. The increase to 29.5% from 28% is the highest since Ghana started using inflation targeting in 2002.
Simply put, you'll pay more if you go for loans, or if you already have procured a loan, you definitely need to rethink the payment terms. In a related development, the Bank of Ghana says it has asked some commercial banks to submit their recapitalization plan following the impact of the domestic debt restructuring on their operations. A number of these banks have their capital adequacy ratio well below the regulatory threshold of 10%, which means their ability to meet their obligations using their assets and capital is very low. Though the government set up a 15 billion cedi stability fund to support distressed banks, it is yet to operationalize the scheme for the banks to even access the fund. The governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the Bank of Ghana would look at the recapitalization plans of these banks and proffer solutions.
I'm not sure if any banks have been driven into insolvency, other than the ones that we already know, those that have that problem. Those banks that are currently reporting, capital adequacy ratios below 10% and below will be required to submit recapitalization plans. In fact, we already met with them last week, and we have already asked those banks that are being impacted in terms of their capital levels to submit recapitalization plans for the central bank's review.
The governor of the central bank, again, Dr. Ernest Addison, wants Parliament to pass the 3 revenue bills as soon as possible to advance Ghana's program with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. The Bank of Ghana and the Finance Ministry have finalized a memorandum of understanding on zero financing of the country's budget. According to the central bank, passage of the relevant bills is critical in resetting the economy on the path of recovery.
It is imperative that Parliament prioritizes the passage of the revenue bills currently before it. Under the staff-level agreement with the IMF, the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance have finalized a memorandum of understanding on zero financing to the budget, which will be signed shortly. The passage of the relevant revenue bills by Parliament will therefore conclude the required prior actions to advance Ghana's program to the IMF Executive Board. This will be critical in resetting the economy on the path of recovery, including putting it firmly on a disinflation path.
In more business news this evening, British-based international shoe manufacturer and retailer Clarks has marked its first anniversary in Ghana by launching its flagship store at the Accra Mall. The shop will feature a wide range of Clarks footwear, catering for the stylish and fashion-conscious customers.
Fast Forward Investments Ghana has made the strategic move to further enhance its market dominance in Ghana's retailer space with the introduction of its latest SS23 campaign tagged for the world ahead.
When you bring in things like this, it also helps the economy to grow. So for us, that's the objective, to add value to the local economy, to help more Ghanaians get jobs, as far as the fashion, environment is concerned.
CEO of Fast Forward Investments Company was excited about the launch.
It's massive, and as you know, our market is an aspirational market. It's becoming quite sophisticated, and for all aspirational market, we look forward, to having brands that are global driven. And that's exactly what's happening in Ghana.
As part of the rollout, Clarks stores will be located in major malls and on high streets in Ghana and Nigeria to ensure convenient access for customers.
Thank you, sir.
We return with the latest in the world of sports, where the Black Stars managed to secure a point against their Angolan counterparts. Details of that right after this.
What does money mean to you?
It means convenience. It gives me the ability to do business at my own pace.
It allows me to live my life with ease and enjoy my lifestyle without interruptions.
Security. I can make investments I can trust, and I know exactly where my money is all the time.
Having the flexibility to do what I want to.
The feeling and peace of mind I get knowing I can safely receive remittances from my family and friends from the comfort of my home. Money means safety.
Money means so many things to so many people, but no matter what you use it for or what it may mean to you, money is the one thing that keeps us going and makes our lives a little bit brighter. So what does money mean to you? Just Momo it.
MTN.
Wow, this place has changed, yo! Ajua, look at you all grown up, yo!
Some things never change, like Gino's quality recipe that gives my food that rich color, unique natural taste every time.
Smells good, yo!
Hey, sister. We did what Ponsano and Casa, just like I remember.
Uncle Ebo, hurry up and let's open the suitcase.
Ajua, try. Name shrimp kwampa.
Best jollof I've ever eaten.
Wow, this is real jollof, mommy.
Gino dear, Emma Adriana de Ankasa.
Say Gino dear, fie. It's delicious, yo!
This advert is FDA approved.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations?
At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today. 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
Time now for the latest in the world of sport with Thierry Nyan. Thierry, it's all about AFCON. And
yeah, it's all about the AFCON, all about
yeah.
the Black Stars, and just about how Osman Bukhari has a golden touch in football. He comes onto the pitch and expects a goal.
First touch.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking you do the soon.
No, he's learned his lesson. Anyway, my name is Thierry Nyan. It's time for us to bring you the latest in the world of sports. We begin from the AFCON qualifiers, where Osman Bukhari's instant impact denied Angola all 3 points as the Black Stars secured a vital draw in Luanda to edge closer to AFCON qualification. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Now Gelson Darla goes down in the penalty area, and it looks like the referee's awarded a penalty. Well, that is a surprise. Well, that is a surprise. For a split second, I thought the decision, his third game. Will this be the time? It will be. 1-0, Angola in front. And on the balance of play, you've got to say, they've deserved it. And here's a chance, and there's a goal! Brilliant! Simple as anything. The crowd are silenced. And Ghana are back in the game. What a substitution. Bukhari has barely been on the pitch for what, 30 seconds? The fans are celebrating. And Angola have been caught cold. There's the burst of speed. Bukhari, drop back, first time shot.
Okay, so that's exactly what happened in Luanda, and what that means is that the Black Stars now have 8 points. Angola have 5 points after that particular draw. But now to the National Basketball Association. Under Junior NBA, the biggest resource for youth basketball players, organized the very first female clinic in Ghana on Monday. Bill Shen has this report.
Defense! 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 Defense!
The clinic was set up to give young girls the opportunity to sharpen their basketball skills and strengthen the representation of women in the sport. CEO of Basketball Africa, Victor Williams, Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, 2003 WNBA champion, Astu Ndiaye Data, and others witnessed the clinic. Victor Williams highlighted the increased focus in providing equitable opportunities for both genders to compete in the WNBA and NBA.
We believe that that every young person in Africa has the potential to reach, to fulfill their talents in basketball. And so what we want to do, and part of our strategy, is to make that opportunity as widely accessible as possible. We're very focused on making it accessible to girls.
Honorable Mustafa Yusuf noted the need to strengthen the development of basketball at the grassroots level.
We are already collaborating with NBA Africa to ensure that we get through right sports, that the schools, our senior high schools, we introduce and make sure that they are aware about and also develop interest in basketball. The Sprite Ball a league that is being organized by Right Sport is also something that NBA Africa supported some players from that tournament, and some of them have been mentored by international basketball players. And this collaboration is not going to be an end. We want to ensure that we go to the grassroots level.
Ndiaye Diatta was pleased with the initiative for females and hopes that this continues for years to come.
To be brief, it will be hope, because you're dealing hope to these ladies. We were dealt hope to get to this level. So just the fact that we are in this month and it's just them, just ladies, trying to get inspired, which is very important, but also to know that anything they want to do, they can do. I'm an example of it, and I was in the same benches as them, in the same, with the same probably coaches. They were just Senegalese, but just chasing the same dreams. So if honestly, personally, I can do it, any of them could do it.
The second gentleman of the United States, Douglas Emhoff, was the main guest of the event, engaging in drills with the young girls and talking to them affectionately. He stated that gender discrimination should not be tolerated and women should be encouraged to engage in sports like basketball.
We know that when we lift up young girls and women in sports, we bolster their confidence, we bolster self-esteem, and sports provides courage that you'll need to take on the challenges of this world and to have that belief in yourself that you can do anything. You can do anything that you set your mind to. So I want every young girl out there to know this: we believe in you.
All right, so on that note, we're bringing an end to the sports here on News 360. Remember, it's Monday, so we bring you Sports Station later at 9 p.m. My name is Thierry Nyan. I'll catch you some other time.
Water is life. Water gives life. Water moves through nature in a never-ending cycle. Observe the beauty of water as it flows all around us, refreshing and restoring. Gaze in wonder at the stillness and beauty of nature. There's harmony in nature everywhere around. Water revitalizes the body and keeps you going strong. Water is life. Water gives life. Drink Awake Purified Drinking Water. One for life. So relax and unwind, and in the calmness of nature, find the rest you desire. For every bottle of Awake you buy, an amount to be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert is FDA.
Wake up! We have just 50 minutes to set off.
Let's go.
We want jollof for school.
Show time.
I'll make jollof.
Jollof? We have 45 minutes. What about the cutting, chopping, blending?
Tasty Tom Jollof Mix has all the ingredients to make jollof already mixed in the pack.
Is it going to taste the same?
So you say Eda pa.
And if a jollof will hook me.
Pour oil. Add 1 pack of 210 grams Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Fry for 10 minutes. Add water, some cube, and salt. Add rice. In 45 minutes. Sharp. Let jollof now being. Right on time.
Delicious jollof and in 45 minutes?
How? Easy cry. Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Delicious jollof. Sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Every child is so unique.
You like no other.
Outstanding in every way.
It's me like no other.
So anytime you walk and play,
you like no other.
You are special like Indomie.
It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. It's you like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie beef flavor. Buy now.
This advert is FDA approved.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water and powered by 3 Entertainment.
Well, welcome back. Time now for entertainment news, and Noella is with us. Hello.
Hi, Martin.
What's going on?
Well, we've got lots of things happening. We know Kamala Harris was in Ghana. It's still in Ghana,
Yeah.
actually, and she met the creative earlier today. We also had Basket Mouth on 3FM Drive, so we have some excerpts
Good
from the
laughs,
conversation.
yeah. All right, give us
Exactly.
details.
Now to our first story. Celebrated Nigerian comedian Bright Opucha, popularly known as Basket Mouth, has advised budding comedians to be original with their crafts. Now, speaking on 3FM's Drive, the comedian, who is in town for his Unprovoked tour, believes comedy is a craft and should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
What do you have for them?
So for each comedian, let me tell you, first of all, don't come into the comedy because it's you think it's a way out of the hustle. Comedy is not a hustle. Comedy is an art. It's like music. It's like, dancing. It's like, painting is an art. And when you get into that space, you have to love the art. You have to love the art form. Now, when you get into that space, do yourself a favor. Don't try to be like anybody else. Nobody wants to buy two of one of a product.
All right.
Right? Now, there can't be another whiskey. There cannot be another Burna Boy.
Yeah.
You understand? There cannot be another Basket Mouth. So when you come in, be original. People love originality. And try as much as possible, like, I've been talking about it, do not pay attention to social media. Try not to. It will mislead you. Come into the game for the love of it, not for the money, not for the women, not for the booze, not for the lifestyle. Do it for the love of it. And guess what? It's your heart that God will follow. Your intentions is what he will follow, and he will bless you accordingly. Now, when you get into the game, one more thing you need to do, like I said earlier, try and free yourself from anything. Try is hard, but only when you get to that space, you will be able to pick things, you'll be able to see things, hear things, get new material.
Now to some more stories. Did you know that the Shire Hills Resource Reserve is not just home for wildlife, but also holds the history of the Shire people who once used to live in the caves? As part of build-up to the Shire and a Measure Fair expedition, 3 Entertainment took a trip to Shire Hills to give you a sneak peek of what to expect come April 1, 2023.
So as part of our Ghana Man series, we have always admonished you, our lovely viewers, to take the chance to eat, see, wear, and watch Ghana. Today, I'll be taking you on a trip to the Shire Hills Resource Reserve to learn about the history and explore the wildlife. So if you're excited, I'm excited. Come with me, let's go. Hi guys! So we're finally here. The destination I told you about is the Shire Hills Resource Reserve. Listen, it's a beautiful place already. I'm excited to see all the amazing sceneries that we have. Oh my god, it's about to be lit right here. So let's go. Come on, come on. Oh, hi there.
Hi.
Yeah.
My name is Kwame, and you're welcome to Shire Hills Resource Reserve.
Thank you.
Hi.
So you're going to be our tour guide for today?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So you see this area here. It has a very unique characteristics of how the rocks are shaped. So it wasn't naturally like this. This area you see here this is where Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, did quarry works to build the Tema Port. Yes. So if you see the Tema Port as it is now, this is where they got all the stones that they used to build the port. Yes. And so this is very important area in the history of the reserve, because it was after these works were done that Dr. Nkrumah saw how beautiful the reserve was and decided to make this place a forest reserve in 1962. Yes, and then later on in 1971, the laws were changed, and then this place was reclassified from a forest reserve to be made a resource reserve.
Well, these and many more await you on the 1st of April, so make sure you call up the numbers and register. That's it for entertainment here on News 360. My name is Noella. I'll be handing over to Portia now.
Thank you so much, Noella. Coming up, international news.
6 people, including 3 children, have been killed in a shooting incident in Nashville, Tennessee,
according to local authorities. The city's fire department said there were multiple patients from an incident at a local school. Nashville police said they had engaged and killed the shooter, who was described as a teenage female. Police are still working to identify the victims and the culprits. At a news conference, police spokesperson Don Aaron confirmed the dead include 3 children, 3 staff members, and the shooter. One police officer was wounded by cut glass while responding to the incident, police said. The suspect was carrying 2 assault-type rifles, and at least 1 pistol has been recovered at the scene. The identity of a shooter remains unclear. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has delayed his government's controversial judicial reform plans until the next parliamentary session. In an address to the nation, he said the country had been facing a crisis that posed a threat to national unity and offered further talks.
And that's it for News 360. Thank you so much for your time. I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Martin Esedudati. Thank you for watching. At 10 p.m., Alfredo Kante will come your way with Ghana Tonight. Have a good evening. Bye for now.
Assassini, for the Limaye, Mojana, Nanum Shegu, Nadi to Homaye.